Last week on Elevating Men.
With men, I'm sorry, with I. This is why I crossed out the word men on the front, because I can't speak for all men. But on page 73 of the book, you see deep down inside, I know that the more time you spend with me, the more that ugly 80% of me will surface. And then you will eventually grow tired and frustrated with me, just like I did. So before the other side of me is revealed, I jet. I either jet mentally, I jet emotionally. I haven't jetted physically because the sex is probably still good. In fact, before I even step to you to say something to you or to lie to you or to scheme on you or scheme on getting you, I develop an exit strategy and an expiration date before I even invite you to that front porch. So that my point is this: even if I am inviting you into my house and showing you what I need, what I'm working on, what I am building, I still did not use the word we. I still did not propose where you enter into this. Only what kind of help you can give me. Not to say that the women don't have their stuff together, but the ones nowadays aren't ready to hear us and work with us. Maybe, just maybe they were the ones that the other guys ran through. Maybe they were that said,
man, let me talk.
Yeah, maybe they were the ones that said, you know what? You want me to help you build. And what that says on your list is not only do I cook with you, do I clean with you, do I sex with you, do I play everything but your wife? Not only do I play every role but your wife, you want me to do all of this before you decide on whether or not you want to keep me.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is A.L. Johnson with Elevating Men, here with another one, Monday night live stream. We're here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Listen, if you haven't been tuning in for the last couple weeks, you've missed out on some great conversation. We're in this book right now, which is the top 10 reasons why men refuse to say I love you by our very own A.L. Boykin. The conversations have been lit. And so if you want to catch up, you can go to our YouTube channel at Elevating Men. You can also go to our Facebook page at Elevating Men, catch up on the conversation, but don't leave today because you can jump in right now. And so before we get into the conversation, I want to introduce everybody really quick. Of course, we've got A.L. Boykin, the author of the book, aka Dinner and Dialogue. How you doing this evening, sir?
Hey, I'm great. I'm wonderful. Great.
All right. And right below him, we got Coach G. That's one of my other brothers from another mother. How you doing this evening?
I'm blessed, man. I'm excited to be here, bro.
Absolutely. And returning from last week, I call him Marcus because his mama called him Marcus, but he calls himself Big Unc. How you doing this evening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right. So the book, it is amazing. All right, we already got some people tapping in. Mike Junk, let's get it. All right, and as you know, if you've never been on one of our live streams, it's completely interactive. And so if you drop a comment, we will address it. We'll talk about it. And so this isn't just a conversation between the four you see on the screen. This is a conversation among all of us. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink and share this with your friends because you want to have that conversation with them as well. So last week, is there anything that you want to recap? Any thoughts that you weren't able to get out since last week? A.L. Boykin, Big Unc, any thoughts? Because I got a couple, but I want to give you guys the floor first.
Okay, so first chapter, we talked about I was lusting for peace. That's the first chapter. So I have no peace inside of me, and we're just getting started in this journey. Second chapter, I find out not only how to get a piece, but I get many pieces. I get greedy. Third chapter, not only am I greedy, I am comfortable with all these pieces I have. So I'm lazy now. I am sloth-filled. I am not changing anything because it's working for me. Fourth chapter, deep inside, I'm getting sort of envious of you because you got this life going on and you want to get out in the world, but I ain't trying to get out there because I don't want you to see what another man looks like so you can compare him to me, and more so compare me to what I am not doing.
So those are the things that we've been talking about. We've gone through chapters 1 through 4. Now we're hopping into 5 and 6. But before we get there was something that we talked about last week, fellas, and I got to get your opinion on this. And so we talked about this whole 80-20 rule when it comes to men. The basis of the conversation was that 20% is what women see. You know, it's the wine, the dine, and the flowers, the whole nine, everything that we do to capture their attention. But 80% behind the scenes doesn't look anything like that. And so I want to challenge that thought today, because is it really 80% that's negative, 20% that's good, or is it the other way around? Because when you say 80-20 and you say 80% is bad, that puts men under a very negative light. And in my own personal life, I believe maybe I've got 20% back there, not 80. And so can either one of you like kind of address that or give us some thoughts? And then for you that are in the audience, let us know when you say 80-20 when it comes to a man, are you saying that 80% is bad, 20% is good, or is it the other way around? Talk to us. Big up, what you think?
I disagree, because my 20%, that's right, last time you told me to turn that landscape would help. There we go. Yeah, I disagree, because my 20% was who I was. That's actually the majority of who I am. And it's very polished. And it's really me. So that whole whining and dining and like sitting back, having a drink, always being careful what you say, having to come across the right way. My dad was big on that. And so that became a major part of like who I am. That other little 20 part, the more serious side of me, you don't get to see that. You don't get to get access to that. So I can't say that my bad side is the lesser of what you see when it comes to me. I'll put that out first.
So if I'm hearing that, it sounds like 20% was what he worked on, maybe his representative. 20% was the part that was real, the whining and dining. Might have been another 20% that took care of business. Might have been another 20% that, it sounded like he was breaking that 80% up into actual percentages of what you were really doing and being, possibly. I don't know.
What do you think, Coach G? He's new to the podcast. What are we leading with? Are we leading with really 80% of this is me, but there's 20%, back here, skeletons in the closet I don't want you to know about? Or is it the other way around? Like the majority of it is like, I really don't want you to know the real me, so I'm gonna give you this little 20% that looks good.
Well, I think people aren't real anymore. I got to speak for myself. People have, I would say most people, you have to earn their trust, right? For me, if I'm vibing you, I give you my trust day one. We're 100 day one. So I would say I'm the 80%. You're going to see the 80% good of me up front. And I'd say the 20% would be even unknown to me, that as I'm healing from past traumas, as I'm learning more about myself, that 20% starts to come out. As it's revealed to me, I reveal it to you. So that's my position on it.
Wow. Mine too. I tend to agree with that. So I think we're kind of 50-50, the panel split. We want to hear from you, audience. I definitely see you watching. If you can hear us okay, because we want to make sure you're catching everything, give us a like, a heart, thumbs up, something, let us know. And also make sure that you're sharing this with your network. And so that was my question from last week. Andrew, you had something?
Yeah, see, some of that goes, and forgive me for Big Unc, this kind of goes to what I remember you saying. Oh gosh, I just forgot it. But how some guys, they grow through their bad parts and evolve. And it sounds yeah. That's kind of what it sounded like right there with what Gary was expressing. That
What happened with me is that I didn't realize that I was very selfish. And so it's like the whole world is your stage. And so if you wasn't cool with who I was or what I was doing, then you just didn't matter. And I learned very quickly, I guess we're going to do this early. I learned very quickly that the ugly girls had good pussy. So while all these dudes were doing the best they could at being this other version so they could get all the cute girls, I'm like, man, y'all trying to get them and they ran through. But this ugly one over here, she got a purse and a pussy. Like, I'm going to go ahead and just be me. And they was coming. And so it started with that. And then I started to realize that other males will even gravitate towards me because, dang, he just him, man. He just say whatever he want to say. He just do, man, oh, you really doing that again? Like, yeah, I'm doing that again because this is what I want to do. If you want to do what I want to do, you're welcome. But if you don't, then you got to move on. And I started learning to use that to get everything that I wanted in life and to overcome the things that I fell short at. So it was a selfish thing.
There was a post that went viral this week, and it was a picture of Neo and oh God, what's his name? Neo and
Morpheus?
Nick Cannon. Neo and Nick Cannon.
Oh, yeah.
That, they figured out at some point that women love bad boys, and so they changed their behavior. They went from the good guy to the bad guy, and they had more success with women. Is that kind of what you're saying? Is it something along those lines? Is that what you felt?
No, not at all. Like, I wanted to be who I became, but I was like, I kept trying to do it everybody else's way. In the beginning, I didn't care about the girls. There was so many of them. I had to learn how to talk to women because I was always the attractive guy. So I would just look at you, and if you looked at me the right way back, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's get out of here. So for me, it wasn't that I had to become the bad guy. I just had to learn what niche worked for me, and then I ran with it.
And see, I was wishing for bad guy qualities.
Come on,
I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty because I was raised by a wonderful mother, and I had wonderful women in my lives, and I grew up to be that passive aggressive, that shy, silent killer. I would get to their emotions, into their heart, into their whining and dining before I broke their heart. And that hurt so bad for me.
We touched on that last week.
Too. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, G.
That resonates with me too, because I had an amazing mother, an amazing example in front of me. So I was that shy guy, but it was hard for me not to be honorable to women. It was difficult for me to lie or cheat. And as to your point earlier, I wanted to have the bad guy traits, the bad guy tendencies, because that's like everything that the women seem to want. How many times have you guys, has it been said to you, if ever, now, Big Unc, I don't know if it's ever been said, but that you're too good to be true. So women are telling you all these things that they want in a man, and you present that. And I'm not presenting some false front. This is just G. I'm just bringing you a real 80. Mm-hmm. And then they tell you, you're playing me, you lying, you're too good to be true. So, and then you watch that same woman slide over to some dude that is a dog and is about to play her, and she gets played.
Wow.
That's been my story.
Wow.
For me, it was a surprise to me and the women that they got played. I didn't know I was about to do this to you. And if those words started coming out.
Did he just say that? Did he really just say that?
If those words started coming out, oh, you too good to be true. For me, it was almost like smelling blood. Like, oh, really? So I ain't even really tried yet. So let me go ahead and try and see what happens. But eventually through the maturing, there did come a point where I was like, you know what? Because I would do me, and then I would look for something serious in the midst of doing me. And I felt like it was just an interview process. And every last one of y'all had an opportunity to get the job. It's not my fault you failed the interview. And so what happened was I got to a point where I started looking out, and like you said, you see the woman slide over to the other guy, and I'm sitting in jail like, man, I'm here for traffic tickets. This nigga's here for like a real case. So I started saying, you know what? Every unfair advantage that the women was giving him, that became my standard. So if a woman wouldn't give me what I've seen you give men that were less than me, then you couldn't play over here at all.
Wow. So that took us down a little trip, but I definitely want to get into the new chapters. And so, Andrew, can you tell us about chapter 5? Let's get into it.
So chapter 5 starts out talking about forgiveness. In fact, it's here it is. I forgive you for practically everything you do, as well as all that you have not done. I even find myself having to forgive you constantly for all the things that you don't and won't do for me. In fact, I find myself forgiving you quite often. Hell, I have to forgive your ass every damn day, whether I'm forgiving you or for treating me like crap, to forgiving you for acts of infidelity. As long as I remain with you, that's what I consider forgiving you.
So there was a couple things I heard there. It sounded like a man who was in a relationship, who was hurt, who was broken by his woman's actions. And he's withdrawn now. He's not giving her all the things he was giving her in the beginning because, hey, you've hurt me. And as we know that this book is actually about self-reflection, even though it's written in a different way. And so can you expound on that just a little bit? Like, where was the man's mental in that chapter?
So the man's mindset is that, like in chapter 3, I got lazy. I got comfortable doing me. I was happy. I was set. But chapter 4, she's starting to get tired of me just always laying around, like Janet Jackson's song, What Have You Done For Me Lately? My dancing shoes are always on her couch. I don't take her out. I don't do these things for her anymore. And she's starting to look at me like, hey, dude, hey, does this thing work anymore? But hey, I'm getting tired of her nagging me because I'm comfortable and I don't want to change. Everything's working for me, but not for her because she's still growing. She's still growing. Remember that title in chapter 3, You've Changed? She's still changing and evolving. I'm stuck in 1968 because that's the only place that works for me, the only place and time that works for me.
G, you had a comment?
Well, yeah, that was the key word to me, growing. So in a relationship, if one party is growing and the other is not, that's how that situation exists. I think in a healthy relationship, both parties are evolving. I want to be my best self today, but I want to be my better self tomorrow and even a better self the next day. That if both parties in a relationship are evolving like that, man, you don't have situations like that. But we have more of these types of situations where one person is growing and the other person, as you said, is stuck.
And we touched on that a little bit last week, but I'd like for you guys to just kind of give your thoughts on this. So you have two people that are essentially in the same place in a relationship, supposed to be on the same page, working towards the same goals. How do you even grow apart? Like, how does that happen? How do you grow apart? That's for you in the comment section as well. So if you're watching, again, drop us a heart, drop us a like, make sure you're sharing this. But the question is, how do couples grow apart? We know that it happens all the time, but how? Like, is it, one person is just so focused on themselves that they're not bringing the other person along with them? Maybe they're reading and enriching their mind, but they're not inviting their partner to read and enrich their mind as well. What's going on? How is this happening?
So a question I would have is,
oh Lord Jesus.
a question I would have is, if I get with a lady and when I got with you, I was here, maybe I'm willing to forgive because I have started growing and I started realizing that I can get better than you. I have different desires now because I have grown that you're not fulfilling. So I forgive you for being beneath me.
Oh. Hey, that's the flip side of because it was something that you said, Andrew, about how men will get to a point where it's like we almost want to keep the woman secluded because it's like, hey, I don't want her to see a real man or a man who's doing the things that I don't. And so it's like, hey, we ain't going out no more. We ain't doing none of that. I see you got the expression on your face, man. So what? Talk to us.
Oh, wow.
That's
dude,
deep.
You just described the expiration date and the exit strategy. It's like, I know where I'm going and I know when you're not going to be going with me. I know where I'm going when I'm going there, but I also know before I even step to you, that there's a stopping point for you. You get off on the bus before I keep going. You get off on this stop because I already knew when you were gonna leave.
Mm.
Wow.
So okay, so this whole conversation about women and social climbing is the term. So they get with the man. They know, hey, maybe he makes X amount of dollars, or he's connected in certain circles, which may just get him a little closer to the next circle that they really want to get to. For example, maybe a guy has connections to the NFL. Her dream is to, be with the NFL quarterback. So it's like, hey, I date this guy. If it works out, if he elevates, I ride up with him. But if not, I'm a little bit closer to that NFL player that I really want. Are you saying that men do something similar?
Yeah. For me, I mean, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. On.
It's not always true when you see yourself growing. Sometimes you think you've grown past that point, and so you start viewing your woman as beneath you. Other times, the greatness in that woman sparks something in you. You start becoming more focused. Like I know me myself. I am more focused when I have that legit person in my life. And what happens with a man being focused is like he starts climbing. He starts shedding off things that were hindering him, and he starts to get a look at who he really is. He's like, oh. And so what happens is before he ever met you, there was a woman he desired, or a type of woman, a life he desired. And he had gave up on that. He gets with you, you strengthen him, he starts to feel good about himself again, and he's actually becoming more. And then he realizes, dang, I can achieve that other life. I'm not just going to drop you off, because the way I used to say it is, I'm going to tell you in the beginning, it is not my job to repeat myself. If I let you know that this ain't working, hopefully you get it together before somebody else passes the interview process.
For me,
don't make me put the help wanted sign out.
For me, and that's the law of attraction. So you referenced several things there. So as you heal, let me back up. You attract who you are, in my opinion. You draw, you look in the mirror, you're going to draw a woman that's very similar to you. As you heal or you grow, you draw a better grade or a better quality of woman, to the point that you reach a woman that is the one that draws now the greatness outside of you. She just literally pulls it. She's just being herself, but because she's being herself, she just pulls. It's like gravity. She's just pulling it out of you. So I think that's been my story.
Wow. So wait. You telling me there are women out there that will actually just be themselves and they draw the greatness out of you?
It's the king and queen mentality.
Wow.
The king and queen mentality. When you find your queen, when you find your queen and she knows who she is, she's secure in herself, she's whole in herself. And then the king steps to her and they unite. She protects, she provides, she defends, she honors, she respects. That honor and respect then is reciprocated because that man goes inside and he's like, what can I do now to be the greatest version of myself for her?
There's a conversation on social media that alludes to people getting together that really don't like each other. And so right now we're talking about bringing the best out of a person. You see the person they are, the caliber of person they are, and you want to match their energy, so to speak. And so you begin to improve yourself. You step it up, right? And so where does that leave the person that, was there at the beginning? So we always see these stories about, man, he's dating a woman in high school, he's dating her in college, he gets to the NBA, options open up, he drops her, an actor, same thing. And so where does that leave that woman? Are they wrong? Or even, reverse roles. If a woman, same thing, she goes through college, she gets her degree, or she starts a business, she starts elevating, she's saying that, hey, wait a minute, I can get a different caliber of man. Is it wrong to basically not settle? Is there a right or wrong for that?
I don't believe that is wrong, but I believe the true measure of a man is how he's able to grow those that are in his circle. Not being preaching, but we really overlook it. The question should be, why can't I grow her? If she's grown me up to this point, because it's supposed to be like a leapfrog. So now my job is to bring her up. If she's the one to just push me up here, let me bring her up here so I can see where she pushes me to next. But it's right there in the word when it says, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing, obtains favor for the Lord. She's already a wife. But our society now tells her, don't give that man wife qualities when you're just a girlfriend. He's only a man when he finds you. But once he gets you, now he's a husband. He has someone to provide for. And it's that thing of, like I said, she pushes you, you pull her up. And then she pushes you to the next level. And then you pull her up again. But a lot of us men don't know how to grow that woman in the same manner that she's growing us.
So let's talk about that.
So
go ahead.
I'm ready to jump on that.
Gary mentioned the word king, and queen, that king and queen syndrome. Big Unc just got finished mentioning that she's already a wife when he finds her, and that elevates him to the husband status. And this book, remember, chapter 1, before I even start getting angry with her, before I start looking at her and frowning, I'm searching for peace. So now I bring her into my life. So that means there's no peace inside of me. That means I'm probably not a king right now. I probably don't even know what a king is. Then I start getting pieces. Then I get greedy with the pieces that I get. Then I get comfortable with all these pieces. Then I start to get lazy and envious because of the things that I'm not. And now that leads us up to page 106. The real reason in number 6 why I refuse to say I love you is because, like Big Unc said, I'm just a selfish, self-consumed bastard, and I'm a glutton for all this bullshit that recurs in my life. I'm used to this. I'm used to this. I'm a glutton for it now. I hold on to so much of my uncontrollable past for comfort reasons. They're my excuses. They are my crutches. They are my drama. I haven't forgiven my past. I haven't forgiven my drama. I haven't forgiven myself. And because I won't address this unresolved stuff, dang it, what does it say? Other page, 107. Come on, pop up. Anyway, yeah, I just haven't forgiven. I haven't forgiven myself.
I would say, to that point, that a true queen, well, let me back up. A true queen only speaks to the king in you. A true queen, yes, you might have been used to, because there's, in every man, there's a king and there's a boy, or you can even call that boy a fool. It's which one that she speaks to. So back to Big Unc's point, in his life, most of his life, the women that he's entertained have spoken to the fool, maybe, or the boy, the immature man. The true queen, though, only speaks to the king. You might be doing foolish things, boy-like things, but she's speaking prophetically to you to draw. Remember, I was talking about gravity. So when you fight, you guys get in disagreements or arguments, you mess up, whatever, she is always referring to or speaking to you as a king. We don't see that anymore. You don't see that in society anymore. A woman that will submit herself in a way that she will just continue to pour into that man. And part of it is our fault, because when we do find that woman that does that, we hurt them. We forget that now we got to reach back. She's helped us to elevate to levels we've never attained before. And it's now our job and our responsibility, men, to reach back and pull her back up as we start this conversation. That now has access to everything in the kingdom. Everything that she helped me build is now hers.
Well, I think some of it too is the nonverbal speaking, because we know as men, and let me know if you agree with this or not. But from the way a woman carries herself, the man that you need to bring. Like, can I come to her as the fool, or do I actually need to be the king? And I think what happens is sometimes we reach a point of discomfort, because growth is uncomfortable in any area of life. And so when you find a woman that challenges you, not because she's saying certain words, I expect this, I need that, but just purely the way she carries herself lets you know that, hey, I need to step it up as a man. I can't come to her as the fool. I believe that we attempt, and sometimes when we hit that point of growth that gets uncomfortable, that's when we retreat. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe I got in over my head, or some of those old vices or habits start to creep up. And it's like, I don't know if I can do this. And so then we lower our standards and we go and find the woman that's going to accept the fool. Have any of you ever been in that situation?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all
Yeah, they
gonna
can
raise
see
y'all
you.
hand
Yeah,
just
they can see you, bro. Put your hand down.
to Gary's point that woman is always speaking to the queen, or the queen is always speaking to the king in you. Now we're jumping ahead a little bit, but on page 137, I'm not always that proud of myself anymore. And since I'm not always proud of me, then I know for damn certain that you can't possibly be that proud of me. No, you can't. And you're not. You can't be, because I'm not even proud of me. Stop lying to me. I don't want to hear it.
Wait a
Don't
minute.
talk to the king of me. I'm not him.
Hold on. So there is a illustration in the book. Go ahead, before I pull that up.
Loving too close while I'm self-destructing.
Okay.
And that's exactly what that is. But this is supposed to focus on the men. But a woman doesn't become a queen until she marries a king. But if I'm posing as a king, then she doesn't know. And so she gets closer and closer, and she's pushing and she's pushing. I'm not doing my job as pulling. And so I begin to self-destruct because, like he just said, how can you possibly love who I am when I know this is a fake, this is a front, this ain't the real me. So now I have trust issues in you because I know that I'm not that great. I know that I'm barely making it. And so I start to self-destruct everything around me because damage is the only thing that I do know.
Exactly.
Yep,
There was an illustration in the book here, and so I want to pull that up because this is like the perfect time for it. But if you're tuning in,
before you pull it up, go ahead, finish your statement. Before you put up, I want to read something.
Okay. No, for those of you that are just tuning in, we are going through the book 10 Reasons Why Men Refuse to Say I Love You. We've been going over this through the past couple of weeks. We're at chapters 5 through 7 this week. And so if you are not familiar with the book, haven't been watching the series, you can find it at YouTube, Elevating Men, as well as our Facebook page at Elevating Men. But what was your comment?
So the comment is basically the woman in his life, that queen, has seen him at his most naked place. She's seen him totally naked. And because she's seen him naked, I want to read this to you on page, damn it, I just lost it. I knew I shouldn't. Anyway, here, maybe this will help you better understand why I believe that this is what you see when you look at me. Not, this is what I know that you believe, what you see, but this is what I believe, what you see when you look at me. Now you can put the picture up. All
right, let's get to it. So I actually love illustrations because it really helps you think and just really wrap your mind around certain concepts. And so can you just explain this and then we can all talk about it?
So this is what I see in me. This is what I see in me. And if I see this, I know you have to be seeing this. You have to see this. You can't miss it. So you can't miss my that I'm badly balding. You can't miss that I'm not him. You can't miss. Let me get the page right so I can see, because that's a little bit small right there.
I'll read some of them while you're doing that.
Yeah,
baby mama drama, child support, I ain't him, balding badly, just won't do right, underemployed, empty, fear, drama, abuse, criminal record, what's that? Out of order, lots of debt, aging body. All of these things are things that you are thinking about, you're in your head about, and you're like, hey, if I know this about me, at this point, you have to see them as well. So how can you really love me? I don't believe you.
Exactly. And all those lines are pointing to like that underemployed. The weight of the world is on my shoulders, trying to lift or trying to keep my foundation secure. And I'm failing at it. Empty. is pointing at my heart. Right now, I'm emotionless. I'm numb. I'm hurting so bad. I'm just trying to medicate. And then this what's aging aging arthritic body. My knees are. I'm not that guy anymore. I can't lift you up and bounce around the room like I used to.
Right.
Lots of debt. I'm standing on shaky ground when it's pointing at my feet. I'm standing on shaky ground. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Out of order. All these things have me stressed. I don't give it to you the way I give it to you. And you know this because you look at me the way when you open your eyes, I'm looking right at you. And you like, and I see that look in yours. You say, is that it? But you don't say it out loud anymore. But I hear it in my ears. Oh my gosh.
So right now we're talking about insecurity.
Yes.
We're talking about insecurity. So last week we asked women the question, are you willing to grow with the man? If he isn't really where you would like for him to be, but you find that there's a connection, you grow to love him, are you willing to grow with him as he fights through these things? And the majority of the women said, yes, I would actually fight through it with the right man. And so could it be that sometimes as men, we're in our heads and we're insecure about things that we know our woman sees, things that we're not proud of. And so instead of just accepting the fact that she accepts us for who we are, we begin to self-sabotage and damage the relationship intentionally because we're so insecure. As you alluded to in the book as well, we don't want her to even be around other men. We don't want to take her out because we see the gem that she is. And maybe a man that has it a little more together is going to take her away from us. And so there's just all these insecurities that go around. Why is it that we... Yes.
Two things. Coach G said that the queen talks to the king in us. Big Unc said something like she is a wife, but that's once she's something like you got to be married to her or something like that. You're not a husband until y'all elaborate on that, because if she's willing to grow with us and we're not even there, that's a problem from the beginning.
So you're saying that she shouldn't be willing to grow with us?
I'm saying that she should notice what she's about to sign on to.
Mm-hmm. And if she does, then why can't you accept yourself? If she can accept you, why can't you accept yourself?
Well, see, I think there's the queen. I always refer to that again, sees your potential. She sees the greatness inside of you. You may not have reached that yet, but that's the nurturer and the mother in her. She sees the greatness inside. And if she's willing to push forward and accept that and help you grow, then I think men, we just got to step up. And I'm talking to me because I ended 2 relationships with women like that because I'm like, what we've been talking about. I'm not that guy. How can she see that in me? It's not, this is crazy. But that wasn't her issue. That was my insecurity, because she saw things in me I hadn't even saw in myself yet. That's a true queen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She's speaking prophetically into you. The more she speaks into you, and see, and I want to go back to Big Unc. I think men, we date girlfriends and not wives.
That's it.
We talked about settling. We go after women who are girlfriends, who will only always be girlfriends. We don't have women who are wives. She's a wife when you met her. She's not a wife when you married her.
And then we run from that because we're running from the responsibility of actually becoming the husband.
Yes. Not necessarily husband for being the king.
So little girls, when they play with Barbie dolls, they become the Barbie doll. So when Barbie is the nurse, that little girl has become the nurse. When the Barbie is the school teacher, the little girl becomes the school teacher. But little boys, when we play, it's look what I can make Superman do. So we never really meet the husband. That little girl, that woman, she's already met the wife in her. She's met and acknowledged her desires of greatness and who she can really become and the sacrifices that it's going to take to get there. But as men, we stumble across that later on in life. 2 things I from earlier was I want to know the man that you love. Because at this point, I'm starting to realize that I'm that other man. So mentally, we start feeling like our woman is cheating on us with this perfect guy. And that perfect guy is actually how she sees us.
Wow. Dang. Boy, Pandora's box on that one.
Okay. We got a question here. So the only person this could be is our very own Lauren Jones. Lojo, what's up, bro? So he's on the Elevating Men page. He posted a question: how do we work to resolve our insecurities? How do we do that? How do we do that? I'm going to put the image back up one more time because, again, we know ourselves. We see our flaws. We see the things that people don't know about. How can we get over that? How can we get over those insecurities and push forward? How can we get over the fact that we're in debt? Life is out of order. We got baby mama drama, child support. I'm not the guy you think I am. I just won't do right. All these different things. How do we get over those insecurities?
For me, you got to do the work, man. I think a lot of men are afraid or stubborn, whatever you want to call it, and just won't do the work. I mean, I've done years of counseling. I've done years of self-reflection. I've done hours, days, months of prayer and fasting. I don't think there is one true fix, one answer. I've gone to God. I've gone to counselors. I've gone to accountability partners. I've studied in books. I've taken classes. I think you got to get to a point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, that you become desperate to become the best version of yourself. And whatever means necessary to get you to that better version, that's what you do.
I love that.
For me, I it's like I met myself and I wasn't prepared. It was I was trying to prove a point to somebody that I was dating, and I was like, oh, I got this app, it records all the conversations because I was going to court for some stuff. And I said, why don't you come over and listen to it? And I'll prove to you I didn't say what you said I said. Before she got there, I listened to it, but I had to listen to all these other calls before I got to that one. And I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have my guard up. And I actually got to hear me the way I really sounded. How condescending I was, how self-righteous I was, how angry I was. I mean, I was just an ugly person. By the time she got to my house, I told her, I said, listen, I didn't say what you said I said, but we don't need to be together because I need to work on me. I truly, hearing myself, I did not like who I was. But everybody had told me those things about myself. This was the first time my guard was down because I was looking to prove a different point.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it from the author.
Dude, the author ain't got no answers. Shoot, that's why what the author did was
yes, you do, brother. There's too much wisdom sitting on that line.
Dude, the author actually had to reflect, and the only way the author could reflect was to write himself down and make himself clear. And he had to put himself in all these different scenarios, including some of the scenarios of his friends, because not all these scenarios are the author's. These are some pains of other guys that were close to the author. And I had to look at that, and I had to look. I joined this group in the mornings, and one of the guys, his coined statement is, "Does your audio match your video?" My audio didn't match my video. Yeah, what was inside of my heart, what was coming out of my mouth, didn't match my actions, and all that sort of stuff. So I had to self-reflect on what I was causing this woman to feel. I was having to self-reflect on what I was doing to make this woman not her queen self anymore. I had to look at the very first cause in everything I was putting into motion. And that was me. And then I had to choose on whether or not I wanted to be something different.
Coach G, he was talking about the king and the queen, but he referenced it not to the feudal system, but he referenced it to the game of chess. Have you ever been playing chess? And we both got the same pieces, but we all know the white gets to go first, and we're just like, man, you did more with your queen and then the board switches and turns. And now I have the white queen and I get to move her first. And I still just can't manage to win the game. It's nothing wrong with the piece. And a lot of times we are running into women as men, and she's the perfect piece. But because you didn't manage that right because you didn't handle her right. You didn't win the game. Things fell apart for you. You took way more casualties than what you needed to, and you still didn't get the win.
Exactly.
So let me ask this: have you ever seen, or has it ever been you, where you felt like a new woman, a fresh start was an opportunity for you to get it right from the beginning, and so maybe you let go of a relationship or relationship hopped because it's like, wait a minute, let me just start over because I don't want to do the work to counteract the damage that I've done in this relationship. So let me just start fresh with somebody else. And there's a possibility in our mind. We say, okay, yeah, I can start fresh. And then there's this other side of it that says, have you actually healed? And are you a different person coming into this new relationship? Because if not, you're going to create the same damage in this one, and then you're going to have to hop to the next. And so could that be the reason for people who hop in and out of relationships, male or female, is that you're looking for that clean slate so that you can show someone the best version of yourself from beginning to end and not bring a bunch of baggage or create a lot of damage? Have you ever seen that, or has that been you?
So I used to, until somebody told me the real version of the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And I actually went and looked on the other side of the fence, and I saw an amazing lawn. I mean, it was green, it was full, man, I wanted to just go and lay in that lawn. But I didn't recognize the guy who was pushing the lawnmower back into the garage. And then later he came out with the cedar that he was feeding the lawn this. And then later on, he put the water sprinkler out. And then later on, he actually went and got on his hands and knees and started pulling weeds out of it. And he was dirty and tired and sweaty. And I was like, hell, I don't want to work that hard. Yeah.
We run from the work. We run from the work.
But I had a reason to run from it.
Okay. I see you, G.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, coach.
No, go, bro.
I seen my dad do the work. I seen my dad do the work before and after, you know what I'm saying? And I also seen the way my mother treated him. I also seen the way the women in the church treated him. He was only good enough, long enough, as he had something to offer. And anytime that it even looked like he was about to come short, he wasn't good enough anymore. I did not want to be a slave to who I was with. I did not want to be a slave to a family, none of that. And so because of what I seen and because of how I did not see my father speak up in a lot of those instances or stand his ground or fully explain what was going on, I ran. I said, nah, that ain't me. I don't care what the grass looked like over there. I'm not trying to keep nobody's yard.
He said, I didn't want to be a slave to it. That gives me a thought. As men, we lead, but in leadership, there's servitude. There's a great amount of servitude. And a lot of us just run from that responsibility, that accountability, that laying down our own desires for that of our families. It's a tough spot to be in. And so, like Andrew said, even in our neighborhoods, like we look at this neighborhood versus that one, we say, well, why does it look so good over there? Because they keep up the maintenance, because they work hard, because when they come home, they don't just turn on the TV and sit down. They get out and they tend to their business. And so when it comes to our relationships, there's maintenance work that's involved with that. And at the beginning, when we were talking about the 80-20%, the 80%, 20%, that's what we're doing at the beginning. We're dating, we're holding hands, we're buying the flowers, we're doing all these different things. And as soon as we get comfortable, all right, the day of work is over. But it doesn't work like that. It isn't a day of work, it's a lifetime of work. And we run from commitment all the time.
When you were talking to opening up with that question, that 80-20, it only took me 20% of my capacity to put a piece of bubble gum in my mouth and chew it while I was bouncing the basketball and watch her go, "Oh, I love the way you chew bubble gum and bounce a basketball." But it took a whole hell of a lot of work to do all the stuff that everybody else was doing to have the world and the life that they built, because I built nothing.
G, you had a comment. What was your comment?
I think I done lost it now. I'm chewing on what I've been saying. I'll circle back when it hits me again.
Okay. Amber Lucretia, thanks for tuning in. She said, no, absolutely not. Can you expound on that a little bit? And I think a whole bunch of people just commented at the same time, or our comment feed was frozen. There are a lot of comments. So let's catch up with our audience. We appreciate each of you for dropping these comments. And so we're going to go through these one at a time. Yeah, they just popped up all of a sudden. So we apologize. We have not been ignoring you.
Wow.
We just got a crazy amount of comments all at once. So, whoa. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, all right. Robert Hawkins. Let's start here. 1 second. Okay, so he says settling is pretty much when you allow yourself to be manipulated by exterior stimulation only. What I mean by that is a person can be your best ally, but because your pocketbook and his wallet doesn't match, you'll miss out and chase someone externally appealing, but it's a complete waste of your time and assets. Oh my goodness.
That's
Women, have you ever done that? Have you ever said like, hey, this man checks all the boxes except the money box, and so let me go over here so I can get some of the trips and the bags and the fine wine and dining and all these different things, and then looked up and regretted it and said, actually, money was the least of what I needed. I needed this man's caring and compassion and consistency and all of these other areas. Let us know. Let us know. And thank you for the comment. We appreciate that. Tammy Martin, how you doing? Never wrong to not settle. It's wrong not to see potential in another person. Got it. Never wrong to not settle. It's wrong not to see potential. Love it. Robert, this is the greatest destruction to your body is unforgiveness to yourself or to others. It does take a toll on your body and health. That's absolutely true.
Very true.
Tammy Martin again, a true queen brings with her the hurt that's been bestowed on her. So she just keeps pushing through, keeps showing up, but the hurt is still there. And the king helps her get over that hurt. That's what I believe. Mike Jump, that from Coach G, I understand. I hate that the feed froze on us because I don't know what part of the conversation that came in, but thank you for the comment. Jessica, exactly. If I'm pushing you and trying to help elevate you, but you don't want to elevate or do better, women get tired. Yes, I completely understand that. Let's see. So your best friend should be how you do your woman. You do what is best for your best friend to grow in life, and she does the same for you. Wait a minute. Listen, ladies, have you ever felt like, because I've seen this conversation online, that your man is a little more loyal to his friends and more attentive to his friends' needs than yours? What's that about?
So again, society, we've torn down the value of a husband and the value of a wife.
Yes.
And we say these things and we think that they're cute when we say them, but they're curses. We say things of, oh, my husband is my best friend. Don't degrade me, because as your husband, I have access to more than what your best friend should have access to. Don't listen. Friends are down here. Husband is up here. Don't give me a title that's beneath me. Just honor the title and who I am to you. And men have to do the same thing with their woman. If this is your woman, if this is your wife, your girl, your lady, you know what I'm saying, whatever your belief is, but this is who you with, then honor her in the position that you put her in. Don't degrade her down to friend. You just can't do it. You can't go along with the social norms just because it's easier to speak that language.
Definitely. Tammy Martin, imposter syndrome at its best. We're all worthy. Man, that imposter syndrome is something. Melvin Lamont Brown, man, this man deserves a community award, but I ain't even gonna start, man. But Melvin,
he does.
We love you here at Elevating Men. Can this image be shared on Elevating Men page? Absolutely. We'll share that after the show. Robert Hawkins, but as I was talking to someone earlier today about insecurities, if you are with your best friend, there should be no insecurities. There should be no diminishing of who you are as an individual, because that person chose you, flaws and alls. Just because you think someone is better than you doesn't make it so. Hence, self-confidence is attractive, not arrogant. Self-confidence, and that puts on an aroma that is unmistakable and appealing at any age. Hey, wait a minute. That reminds me of my other question. Andrew and I talked about this from last week. I got to ask you guys this, and we'll get to some of the other comments. Our feed is active now, and so keep commenting. We'll get to them. We appreciate each and every one of you. But let me ask all of you something. This is for the panel and the audience. You meet someone. You hit it off. Things are moving quickly. The relationship is progressing. do you put the brakes on the relationship? Because there was a couple comments that came up last week, and I believe it was from Robert Hawkins, and so correct me if I'm wrong, sir. But what he said is, I want to be someone's friend for an extended period of time so I can get to know the real them, time for the mask to come off, and see if this is somebody that I really want to be with long term. And so when I hear that comment, it makes me feel that you can't know if it's someone you want to be with long term until there's been a good amount of time, right? I also read something that said if a relationship is progressing at a rapid pace and there's a connection and you guys are feeling each other, you're loving each other, you should go with the flow, because as soon as a person slows down the relationship, even if it's just to protect their own heart, or if it's for them to say, okay, let me learn a little more about this person, this is moving too quickly, that you actually hurt the dynamic that brought you two together, and you're possibly going to ruin the relationship. And so if things are going well, if there's a connection, do you go with the flow, or do you pace the relationship intentionally? I want to know.
So for me, every relationship that I was in that failed was because I went with the flow. And the flow was basically dictated by how we were feeling, how the moment made us dream, how the moment compelled us to work and to maintain. However, life actually changed dynamics in our lives, be it a death in the family, be it a loss of a job, being a whatever that crippled this and demanded that I stop for a moment and focus in this direction. But she was in that direction. And remember, when we first met, we were both in this direction at this particular point, praying to each other like this every single day. But life made me go this way when she was over here and needed me and said, hey, where are you? I said, I'll be right back. Hey, where are you? I said, I'll be right back. Yeah, but you said that 30 minutes ago. I'll be right back.
Hey, for those of you that are tuning in, the question that we're on right now, because I need to know the answer to this question. If the relationship is going well, do you slow it down intentionally to give it more time so you can really get to know the person, or whatever your reason is, you need to heal some more, whatever it is, or do you go with the flow because things are right and you just go with it? Coach G, what are your thoughts?
My relationships that have failed, I'm the opposite, are the ones that I slowed the pace down. The relationships that have been powerful and successful are the ones that I leaned into and went with my heart. There was an intentionality. We grew together. We healed together. That intentionality brought us, we did everything together. I mean, literally everything. We prayed together. We studied together. Like I said, we healed together. We just grew together. Communications grew. Everything in that relationship grew. And when we slowed it down is when it failed.
Marcus, big on. What's your thought on the question?
It's the same, but when I was not mature enough to acknowledge it, I thought I was just getting my way. And so I was happy with that. But as I am now, you don't kill the momentum. You'll never make it back up the hill. You'll never make it to that other level of each other to where y'all see where y'all got to push each other to. The dangerous side of that is the faster that pace and that momentum, the faster you reach the end. But it's up to you what that end is going to be. It could just be the end of that chapter so y'all can start the next chapter together. Or it could be the end of, now this fake, this fraud, this front that I've been putting on, she's going to see it.
So my personal take on it, I kind of lean, I'm usually a centrist, but I kind of lean more to the side of go with the flow. I think what happens when you're talking about the whole crash and burn thing is that going with the flow in a relationship where there's a strong connection, like there's a high level of connectivity, it forces the growth process to be faster than normal. And so because we already resist growth is painful. It happens at such a rapid pace that if you're going to commit to it, you might as well go ahead and commit to growth and the uncomfortable portion of that, or it is going to be a crash and burn situation. And so, yeah, it's going to force growth. It's going to force you to take off the mask a little sooner. It's going to force you to forgive your past mistakes, your traumas. It's going to force you to heal it's going to force you to do a lot of positive things. It's going to force you to accept yourself. The image that we showed that had, hey, I'm in debt. I'm not where I want to be in life. All these different issues that we have internally, you have to accept those faster in a relationship that has a strong connection, or you will crash and burn, like Marcus said.
Question.
True.
Very well said.
Does it force you to marry her quicker or keep her your girlfriend longer?
I would say marry her quicker.
Yes.
Like,
hey, gentlemen,
let
me throw this out at y'all. So we're all sports guys. So when you have momentum and you're winning, do you want to pause that? Do you want to slow that down? You hate it when the other coach calls a timeout, right? So why isn't it applicable in a relationship?
So I have a question probably for another show, so we can build this out. My question would be, what causes the slowdown or the interruption? Because you don't automatically just wake up and say, hey, pause. There is actually something that comes from here or here that reminds you of something that is big, that makes you want to introduce the pause or the slowdown.
I mean, it could be as simple. It could be as simple as other people's opinions and thoughts.
Residual trauma.
It could be, I didn't tell you about my wife.
Hold on, say that again.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
What's got to say?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm gonna repeat what he said, and then I'm gonna say my little thing. He said, "I didn't tell you about my wife." He said that. That's exactly what he said. I didn't tell you about my wife. Yeah, that's what he said. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a few of those. Yep. We ain't together, but yeah. So for me, it's going with the flow only works when everybody has. There you go. Thank you, Lauren. Going with the flow only works when you got a full tank of gas. Now, if I ain't got a full tank of gas, going with the flow ain't gonna work. At some point, we both going down the highway, but I'm gonna have to stop my car, get out my car, stop you so I can get in your car. So now I can keep going with the flow using all of your resources. It don't matter if it's the man or the woman. But the issue is going with the flow only works when we check the list off when we start. Issue is this: I'm ready for company, but I ain't ready for relationship. So I can't go with the flow because the flow was only supposed to get me to clap them cheeks.
Dude.
And Mike Dunk said it best right here. Just be honest. Just be honest. Go ahead, Drew.
So back to I'm not your roommate. Chapter 6. Is that chapter 6? No, it's chapter 5. No, chapter 6. I'm not your roommate. Anyway, we're talking about that image and that guy that slowed down because of his insecurities. Everything was hot and heavy, but all of a sudden it's like, I'm not always that proud of myself anymore. And since I'm not always proud of me, I know for damn certain that you're not proud of me, and so forth and so on. But then he gives this list on page 129. I'm not proud of the fact that the mortgage is in your name. We dine and travel on your credit cards because I have horrible credit. I'm unemployed most of the time. I've stopped growing as a person. I have no career at my age. I have no savings, no 401k, no insurance, no safety net for me or you. I don't have deep pockets. I've not built nor really accomplished a damn thing in my life. And the list goes on. And I'm still supposed to be hot and heavy for you. But eventually we got to stop and settle on a foundation that I have not built.
I would say do your job and stay out of her lane. Doing your job and staying out of her lane, what it looks like is this previous relationship I was in, she pushed me to the point where all those things like was sitting right there in front of me, like, okay, we doing this, but she made sure that, hey, Marcus, it's okay because you're taking care of all these bills, all this, that, and the other. So if I got to cover the check when we go out, it's okay. You're already doing your part. But it pushed me into a position of saying, that's not good enough. I love you enough that I want greater for you, even if I'm not still around. So now let me start trying to put these other things into place. But that again causes the man to have to look at himself and be honest with himself. But the most comfortable thing for a man to do is to tear or something down rather than to build it up. It's easier to tear down, but to build yourself up while she's still pushing and priming you, it's hard.
So we got to stop on this comment right here. To overcome the insecurity, the man must find a higher power and or resource in whom he trusts and respect in order to receive the uplifting of his confidence and correction of himself. Because the man is the lead, it is hard to totally receive it from his woman because she is not his leader, and it is not as easy to receive from her or trust her in the area of elevating his thought pattern.
Whoa.
And so, listen, a whole bunch of stuff just hit my mind real fast, but I know one of them is Dr. Miles Monroe. I talked about it in the last segment that we had. He has a video, you can find it on YouTube, but it's the woman before, or the work before the woman. And so unless a man is already building, working on himself, developing in his plan, connecting to God, he's built his tribe, all these different things, he may not really be ready for a woman. And if he goes out and gets one because of whatever, carnal desires, whatever it may be, this is where you want to run into this situation. You attract an elevated woman because, as a lot of the women have said, they're nurturers. They can see the good in us and they can see our potential. And so it may be a woman that you don't qualify for today who sees the future you that says, hey, I accept it. Let's grow through this together. But because you haven't done the work, once you get into it, like Marcus said, you crash and burn. And at some point, you're like, hey, I got to get out of the car. I got to get some more gas. You don't want her to siphon any gas out of her tank. You don't want to hop in her car. And so you start to sabotage the relationship, or you just leave altogether. And so I love that comment. Does anybody else have any thoughts relating to that particular comment?
Yeah, pride in this comment, in this whole sector, or the lack thereof pride.
When you get to the point that y'all just roommates, it's again, and we're not talking about the well-rounded man. This book is about that damaged man, that man that hasn't come to himself yet. So in that, he's more comfortable with getting in her car than he is having to be like, let me find some gas. Even if I got to call AAA, which he ain't got AAA, you got to pay for that. Having a woman and realizing whether we're still sleeping together or not, that we just roommates. Listen, I've broken up with a woman and we became roommates. And we have a great friendship, even to this day. But you don't want that to be the dynamic of your relationship. And I've seen that happen with my own mom and dad, is that they accomplished all this stuff, but they were just roommates. I shit you not. They just now, I'm 40 years old, and maybe three years ago, exactly, they started being husband and wife. And I admire the woman that I see that my mother is now. And the man that I see my daddy is now, even though he comes to me and he's vulnerable, I admire who they are now, but who they was growing up, man, it produced a horrible person.
So I got to address this comment here. Lojo, he's taking care of the Elevating Men page right now. So he posted, can maintenance be a detriment since the root word of maintenance is maintain or keep the same, which if you're keeping something the same, that means you're not growing. Can that be a detriment to a relationship? Anybody want to take that?
I'm thinking the statement says it says a lot.
Got it. So self-contained, nothing to say? Nothing to add? No. Okay, so Mike Junk, he said, y'all are talking as old heads, not in today's world. Add me, Unc. Look, nephew, I told you could. So this is my nephew, y'all. This is like my real blood nephew right here. And so I'm busting you out since you put this on here. Last week, he said, Unc, I ain't agree with nothing y'all said on here. I said, nephew, come on the show. And so, listen, I want to have you on next week, nephew, but I'll call you. We'll talk about it. But can you elaborate? You're saying not in today's world. Let us know what you're talking about on that. And does anybody else feel like that? We just a bunch of old heads just talking. This ain't relevant to today. Let us know. So
when addressing that, I haven't dated a woman around my age in a long time. And it's crazy because most of the times when we, as older men or as seasoned men, go after women that's around our age or in our age group, we find that we only come in contact with women that want to argue, that want to bicker. They've been holding the reins for so long that when you come in, they're looking at you like, how are you going to tell me how to do this? I just raised all my kids. And so then you turn towards the other women, and he's right. All they're looking at is that six. Do you have the 6 figures? Are you 6 feet tall? Do you have the 6-pack? What do you have to offer me to help me get out of my situation? And if it ain't that, then it ain't you. But in that, I would say to your nephew, is this the supply and demand? And don't you ever forget your power as the one that's shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You will only increase the supply as long as you increase the demand. The moment I realized, you know what, as long as I'm in the hood, I'm top tier. I moved out to Overland Park and I was like, damn, even the lesser men have accomplished the things that I'm doing. But if I go back to the hood, I'm at the top of my game again. Supply and demand. Stop going after women that are trash. And you won't have to deal with the norms of this society or the way the mental construct is. Start going after the things that you really want, but it's harder to hunt for them because you're used to getting the other ones. That was me.
That goes back to
forces you to step up. Oh, go ahead, Coach G.
That goes back to going after a girlfriend instead of a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we settle.
Absolutely. Yep. So we got a comment here. You live your life with that person and respecting them at the level they entered your life. You don't put expectations on an individual they didn't agree with. And so what kind of conversations are we having at the beginning of a relationship? Like, what are those conversations about? Is it just, oh, I think you're beautiful. Oh, I think you're handsome. Oh, let's go dance. Let's go do this. Let's go do, or are you actually having the deeper conversations that uncover the expectations? You know, what do you expect from me? What do I expect from you? How do you see me fitting in your life? How do you fit in my purpose? How do I fit in your purpose? Are those conversations that we're having, or is it just all fluff?
Man, I'm pissed.
Me too. Why you?
No, I'm serious.
What's going on?
Chapter 5 was my favorite chapter, and we didn't even get to the part that I wanted to talk about. Dang.
What is
that
it?
Chapter messed me up.
Adam and Eve.
Oh man,
With Dexter.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of that, that was good.
I read it.
You perfect. Thank you. Thank you. This is my favorite chapter. This the whole book. And will somebody in the audience, will you please look up Genesis chapter 3, verse 12 and put it in the comments, please? Genesis 3 and 12.
While we're waiting on that to come in, so there were some people that responded to the do you slow it down or do you keep it moving? Tammy Martin, I had her comment up earlier, says no breaks, lean in, take the chance. What is the right amount of time? Rhonda Hall, you go with the flow, but you must use wisdom, ask the right questions, keep your eyes and heart open, but also brave enough to recognize that things are starting to unalign. It's okay to walk away and choose yourself. Robert, he clarified his statement. He said, as I said before, you build a great friendship, love, and respect. Honor, trust, loyalty will materialize into whatever it needs to be. Anything outside of those things is going to destroy anything you have, including the friendship. So he's saying, pace yourself, because, hey, if you're talking about marriage and something long-term, you have forever. So what's a year or 2 years getting to know a person? So I completely get that. Lojo with Elevating Men, he said, go with the flow. You slow it down when the pace doesn't allow for clarity. So you slow down when there's confusion. Melvin Brown, he said, isn't that the blind leading the blind? Okay. Eric Morrison, the bishop. That's the real bishop right there, Bishop Eric Morrison. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, sir. We appreciate you. He just is running for a governor. And so
Yes, sir.
Follow Bishop Eric Morrison. See, when the seeds of love, respect, loyalty, godliness, and decency are planted first, the fruits of that will grow. Hey, wait a minute, man. Listen, you dropping 2 minutes. You need to come on the show. I'm gonna inbox you. You need to come on the show. Seriously, like we love your comments.
Yes.
Finish that. Any weeds that alter those things will diminish the nourishment of that fruit. So you can't speed growth. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. Any weeds that alter those things will diminish the nourishment of that fruit. So you can't speed growth. You can't manipulate unity. Anything outside of pure respect for one another and God is going to fail in some way or another. But we really need you to come on the show, sir. We really need you to come on. Yeah, yes, sir.
So if I could touch that and the scripture that he was asking to bring up, where he said, Adam said it was the woman that you gave me that did this, because he never asked for it, but it was the woman that you gave me. But also when he talked about the fruit, dig this. You can cut open an apple and you can count how many seeds are in the apple, but you cannot cut open a seed and count how many apples will come out of that seed.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that we plant inside of the woman, and we don't even realize that we're dual tilling, that we're also planting in the relationship. And then when it starts sprouting up, it's more than what we're able to maintain. Oh, there go that maintenance thing again. Adam saying that, I'm sorry, preacher coming out. So Adam saying that it was the woman that you gave to me. But it's crazy because now it's the woman that you gave to me, but God never even named her Eve, nor woman. That was Adam's doing. So you decide to give her the title in your life. And then when things don't go the way that you need them to, then you say it was the one that you gave to me. But there's another scripture that says, as you draw nigh to me, I'll draw nigh to you. So when you don't trust yourself, when you realize that you have insecurities, when you realize that you're not meeting the mark, then at that point, as a man, what it is time for you to do is to draw to God, draw closer to God, and it will draw the God that's in her closer to you. And so now y'all be back on, it's with one accord, not on one accord, because then y'all fall off because y'all have different purposes and goals. So we have to get back to the point as men has been able to be transparent enough to say that I need a help greater than myself.
Anybody else want to touch on that?
That vulnerability. I think we are at our best, kind of to Marcus's point, Big Unc's point. I think we're at our best when we're vulnerable, when we can look in the mirror and say, I need help. I'm not okay. And it's okay to not be okay. That we seek that higher power, that higher source, which, you know, for me is God, but for other people, whatever that is, whatever that needs to be. To realign and refocus yourself. Realign yourself with the Lord, realign yourself with your goals and your dreams and your vision. Again, back to that queen always realigns you. She's always speaking into you. So when you drift off the path, she's that one that gently nudges you back on path. She's not that nagging, that dripping faucet where the man wants to sit in the corner of his rooftop that Proverbs talk about. She's that one that you know that everything that you put in her hand, she's going to multiply, meaning peace. You know, it's not just monetary things. You know, maybe we talked a minute ago about peace. Maybe I need peace. I've chased girlfriends, but my heart's desire is a wife. So I know that's the right person because she multiplies everything I get. So maybe what we talked about, I need peace. So she gives me peace. Maybe I need alignment. So she gives me the greatest alignment I've ever had in my life. Maybe I've never experienced agape love, and she gives me the greatest measure of agape love I've ever had in my life.
So before this book, there was an empty man. Right. He was an angry man. Before this book, there was an empty, angry man. And he was seeking what Gary just got finished saying, peace. So chapter 1, he was seeking a peace. He was lusting after this peace. I need peace in my life, P-E-A-C-E. But in his confusion and his inability to know anything outside of what he knew, he started getting pieces of women. And in chapter 2, he got greedy with that. So he was lusting for peace. He got greedy with all this peace, all these pieces that he was getting. In chapter 3, he got lazy. He got sloth-filled. I don't want to change what I'm doing because it's working for me. Chapter 4, he actually started to develop a conscience because that conscience said, dude, you ain't what you supposed to be. But he started envying all those other guys that were really out there. And that envy made him a little controlling because he did not want his woman to see what he was not. Chapter 5, he actually had no pride in himself. And I forget which chapter because I didn't close the dang on book or what page it was on. But pride is supposed to be the deadliest of all sins. But in this case, this guy doesn't even have any pride because he will not face the fact that he is the one that's messing all this up, that's planting all these weeds from his seed. He doesn't recognize that. So his 7 deadly sins is kicking in hard right now. And he doesn't even recognize it. So what does he do? He says, it was that woman that you gave me.
Points the finger.
Exactly. See, right now, he's in this battle with himself. How can I get better, damn it? How can I get better? And then God says, well, I'm always here. Shut up. It was that woman you gave me in the first place. I could do this. How can I get better? And then she comes and says, hey, how can I help you? And he says, will you leave me alone? And he turns at her with all his vehement. And all of a sudden, she's suffering the wrath. She's suffering the wrath because of his war with God.
Wow. So, man, I love that. So, what kind of fish is there in the tank? Hold on. There was a comment. I can't find it. I apologize. But Tammy Martin.
Can I ask the writer?
What's that?
Can I ask the writer? So when you were speaking about Dexter, and when you bring that scripture up, you're not saying that, which, and I preach, and I've never seen that revelation, but you're not saying that that comment was even about her. It's almost like he's upset with God.
Exactly. So Adam, this is my take. This is my take, and I'm getting ready to pervert this whole chapter and stuff like that. But my take was Adam was comfortable with his peace, with his piece of that garden, and he was comfortable with Eve. But he was not building anymore. He was not doing his job. So Eve was like, "Hey, what are we gonna do next? Hey, what are we gonna do next?" He didn't have anything to comment, so she started picking flowers for herself because she was still growing. She was still tending the garden, and all of a sudden,
that's good.
And then all of a sudden, this python, this serpent, slithers up, and he starts to rub on her apple, a way that Adam had stopped doing. He stopped caring about her apple, but this dude touched her in certain ways that made her want that fruit and bite it. And she said, "Oh, this is good." And Adam heard it because he was right there.
Right next to her, literally.
Yes. And
yeah, because it says that she turned and handed it to him.
Right. Hey, he was like, "What the hell? How you gonna let another dude?" So what he did, he got jealous. He got envious. Chapter 4, he said, "Dude, I gotta step up my game." So what he did was, instead of praying to God, because hey, I'm mad at God, I gotta study how this dude made my wife scream. So he put it down. He put it down, and he bit the apple, and she said, "Oh." And what happened was, when he pleased her by biting the apple, he felt good. He felt his ego. He felt
rise up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he wanted that for the rest of his forever. I can do this on my own.
So I gotta let them know real quick. So there's a couple comments asking about call-ins. We do not have the capability for like an audio call-in, but we can add an additional person to the stream. We're almost near the end now, but again, I invite you to come on next week. So I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what I have written right here in my little notes is that, and I'm just gonna be straight, a lot of times, because when you leave your mom and dad's house, you don't really have anything, and so the only thing that you do have that you can stand on is your dick. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of young men, we come out the house with our looks and our dick, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so we get her with that, and then when another guy, Dexter, comes along and he's slanging just a little bit more than we got, you know what I'm saying? And he knows some tricks that we don't know. And then we go out and we try to figure it out, learn it, and then we compete with that same thing. How crushing is it when you find out that your dick is not capable of winning that fight?
Boom. Boom.
Because you didn't build yourself up. Instead, you stood on your dick.
Boom.
How crushing is it?
Boom.
Yes. Oh.
Wow.
Look, fellas, like,
mouthful.
We went way over. So normally we keep the show right at an hour. But the comments came in late, so we had to talk to our people. But we gotta wrap it up, fellas.
Don't let that be the last comment.
Oh my God.
So this is what we'll do. Everybody gets a chance to give their final thoughts and just kind of just wrap all this up. And so let's start with the author. No.
Go, because I want to find the passage that talk that Uncle.
Oh, okay. He's going in. So yeah. Which of you would like to go first?
I knew he was going. I'll go. No, real talk. I got to speak from the heart, for men like me, and you just got to be yourself. You got to be your authentic self. You got to be real. You can't buy into societal norms and pressures, even if it means you have to stand alone in relationship. And your relationship is you and God. that is powerful in itself, and that God will create space for you and you will draw that queen that you've been looking for. It's just real talk. I think if you just work on yourself and focus on yourself and focus on healing and focus on growing and becoming your best self every day, when that right one, that queen does pop up in your life, number one, you're going to know you're not worried about pace, because everything that's happening is happening for a reason. You're prepared for it. The conversation is perfect. The spending the time is perfect. Everything just aligns. So I don't know. That's been my secret sauce here in the last latter parts of relationships for me. So that's my piece for tonight.
Thank you, Coach G. We appreciate it having you on. Definitely want to have you back. Definitely want to have you back. And so thank you for those words. Marcus, aka Big Aunt, final thoughts.
It was hard reading these last two chapters, because that's not the mindset that I'm in anymore. But looking back, don't be afraid as a young man to confront yourself and to deal with the truths that you find. Don't be afraid as a young man to make the rest of life wait on you to get yourself in right position and get yourself in right standings. Because anything you touch before you get yourself right is doomed to fail.
That's good.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Before you go, Drew, there's something that I want to ask the audience. We're almost done with this series, and I hate that. I hate that, because this has been so great. For those of you who are just catching this, you've only seen this show or just a part of this show, first you need to rewind this back to the beginning, because the conversation was fire. And then you want to go back to the previous two shows so you can tie it all together. You can do that by going to our YouTube page at Elevating Men. Make sure that you subscribe so you can get all of our notifications and updates. You can also go to our Facebook page at Elevating Men. We appreciate all of you. And so the author is going to wrap us up. But before he does that, because we're almost at the end of this book, we need another book. We need another book. And so if you have a book that you would like Elevating Men to go through as a series, if you could drop that in the comments, let us know where we want to go next. We definitely appreciate it. So drop your book recommendations in the comment section right now. We'll be taking a look at those and we'll choose something and we'll get into it just like we did here. And so, Mr. Boykin, final thought.
Big Unc said that when you're young, only thing you leave your house with is yourself and your dick or something like that.
Right.
And page 133 says at the bottom, now, see, that leads me to the deeper truth. Today, I'm not proud of the size of my dick. I'm not proud of the size of my dick. I'm not proud of the size of my dick. There, I said it. And for all of you men out there who are hung reading this part, fuck you too. Thanks to you, I now hate the fact that there are taller, stronger, more aggressive, richer, more stylish, more confident men out there. And I'm not them.
You cannot let that be the final thought. You're gonna have to add a little more.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great place. I think that was a great place to park the car.
About how I am fucking up my life, literally and figuratively. And I'm thinking that my dick is so important in this thing. And when I cannot please her, I blame her. And when I cannot blame her, I blame God. And when I cannot blame God, I go to the next woman because I'm not going to accept the blame.
Man, that was deep. Thank you. We appreciate that. Listen, everybody, thanks for taking this journey with us. We appreciate you rocking with us this evening. We're going to play the replay tomorrow afternoon while you're at work, somewhere around lunchtime, probably about noon. And so pull this up with one of your friends. Pull this up with your homeboy, with your homegirl, and expand the conversation, because that's what this is all about. We can talk about it here, but until we go to the next level and we share it with the people in our network, our family, our friends, the conversation only goes so far. So we need more perspective. But we appreciate each and every one of you. Continue following Elevating Men. We are so grateful for all of your support. There's a couple things that I want to put up on the screen really quick to let you know what we have coming up next, because we're always on the move. There's always something going on with Elevating Men, and we don't want you to miss out on nothing. And so if you don't already, make sure that you put it on your calendars for every Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9:30. LaRon Barnes and I, he's our life coach as well as motivational speaker with Elevating Men. We talk about how you can get your week off to the best start possible and really crush your goals. It's called Motivational Moments with LaRon. Tune in every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to 9:30. The second thing, be looking out for this because our promotions are getting ready to start here in about a week, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time, we have a huge event coming up at the end of September. It's a mental health town hall. We already have the venue. It's the Mohart Multi-Purpose Center at 3200 Wayne. We're going to be bringing in lawmakers at the state level, at the city level, government. We're bringing in mental health professionals, mental health advocates, different organizations. We're all going to come together in one room and talk about the mental health crisis here in Kansas City. We're going to be addressing issues such as, trauma, barriers to access, the insurance companies and how they block us from getting the services that we need. And not only are we going to talk about it, we're going to create actionable steps that we can take to our government and create change. And so if you want to be a part of change, be looking out for that event. It's the Mental Health Town Hall sponsored by Elevating Men, as well as several others. We'll be releasing that here within the next week, but be looking out for that as well. And then last thing, we don't have the flyer for the next one yet, but this last men's breakfast, we had Chris Dunlap, who is a financial literacy educator. Coach G, you were there. If you just want to drop a couple, like, what did you think about that?
Fire, man. It was game-changing information.
Game-changing information.
Do his class.
Yeah, and so for everyone who was in attendance, they got 30-day access to his course that teaches day trading, stocks, investing, how to manage your 401k, all of those things. And so that's what we do here at Elevating Men. It's not just a podcast. We're here to help you change and elevate your life. And so we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Remember, drop the book recommendations in the comment section. We need to see those. And fellas, can you do me one favor? There were so many comments here. Some of them were addressed directly to things that you said. If you could take a minute, maybe later this evening or in the morning, can you interact with the audience and just give them a little more perspective? Because they were asking some very direct, pointed questions. Some of them didn't get answered here. And so for all of you that maybe felt like you didn't get your questions answered, we'll be in the comment section later tonight and tomorrow. And we're just going to keep on talking through this thing. Make sure that you come back next week, same time, same place, Monday night at 8 p.m., Elevating Men. Be there or be square. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.